Hello, good morning, everyone. So there are a few people who is joining for the first time. So I would be taking the last session quickly, where the demo we have explained about SAP Ariba and the overall architecture. So the today planning is I will be explaining Ariba overview and I will be taking you to the Ariba dashboard if the time is available. Otherwise, we will continue the Ariba demo session, dashboard session in tomorrow session. Let's discuss something about SAP Ariba at the high level overview on what are all that the course is going to provide and what is SAP Ariba is providing the solution where it is fitting it. Let's think of an example where material X, it could be anything, either service or material or anything. They want to purchase in an organization from a vendor A. Vendor means the supplier. So we can interchangeably call supplier or vendor. Vendor A, we want to purchase material X. In Ariba, who are all the parties dealing in the areas or personas in Ariba? Sourcing agent or manager. These people or this role is responsible for finding a quotation from the market. So when someone has requested an item like material X, so the requester will send a requisition to the sourcing team asking them to find out the price in the market. So the sourcing agent or the sourcing manager makes a quotation to the market and find out the prices. After that, his job ends. Then the contract manager, once the sourcing activity has been completed, they will go for a written agreement. So in the written agreement, they are making sure that whatever the price is agreed is valid for certain period of validity or the amount of spend. For example, I have collected a price for 100 quantity at 10 rupees each. So to that extent, I will be creating a contract. That is done by contract manager. That is the role in Ariba. It may not necessarily the designation in a real-time business. In Ariba, the responsibility of the contract manager to execute the contracts flow. Then the supplier manager. So now we know that vendor A. In my company, I might be having vendors of 40, 50, 200, 2000, 3000. So many vendors. It depends upon organization to organization, enterprise to enterprise. How do we manage the supplier? So what is there in managing a supplier? So what is the process of onboarding a supplier in our organization? So it will vary from organization to organization. For example, in one of the organization, they will be adding any supplier without any problem. Where the problem comes, when you are finding a quotation, if there are duplicate vendors, you get the quotation from one vendor. When person is creating a purchase order, he might not be checking who has the vendor code. He will search for the name and he might create a PO in another vendor. So there will be a inconsistency. You are collecting price from one vendor. I mean, the name wise, system wise, in system it is thinking another vendor and we are creating a PO. That is the possibility. So to avoid all those things, we need to have a controlled process. That is the responsibility of supplier manager. This is one part. And second, Ariba also provides some additional features in managing the supplier. That is, at the time of registration, you will collect a profile information from the supplier, which will include like banking information, what are all their credentials, what are the certifications they do have, and how many turnover they're spending. All this information can be collected and you register that supplier. After that, qualification will be done based on commodity specific. For example, IT commodity, my questionnaire or my requirement would be whether he is having an authorized dealership or authorized owner from the product, whether he can provide 24/7 support. Can he pick up the, for example, laptop? When there is a repair happen, we raise a ticket with them, will they pick up from the home or we need to drop it at their service location? These are all the things specifically for IT related activities. However, if I am trying to purchase some material, let's say stationery, so I don't need to do that much of research because it is available free of everywhere. Then maybe I don't care for small spend and all. But for certain commodities, I might be needing a qualification, something like when you are in an industry of a plane manufacturing or airlines manufacturing. Each product needs to have certain quality. If the quality is not meeting as per their requirement, they will not accept that material. So you might be giving during the qualification, this is the standards we are looking for. Are you able to provide that? So if the supplier is providing it, I will qualify him. If he's not meeting that standard, I may not qualify. These activities, whatever we just discussed, is the responsibility of the supplier manager. We are going to look at all these things at a later stage. And we also have generic user, so person who casually logs into a system and he buys that item. That's called end user or a business user, or even we can call him as a buyer. Whatever in Ariba, our focus is from the buyer's point of view only, not from the seller points of view. All right, let's take the same example, material X from vendor A. First of all, first document will be created in the system would be sourcing request. This is a request created by internal team member. Internal team member means within the organization, some other department is requesting sourcing department. That's called sourcing request. A request is sent into the sourcing department to find a material X price. Now, once this is done, the sourcing manager will create sourcing project in Ariba. So what is sourcing project? In Ariba, upstream specifically, we'll come to what is upstream and downstream. Whatever you are collecting a quotation, that is considered as a project. Why we call it as a project is, it has the capability of a project management. For example, I know who has requested this item. Suppose if the amount is more than 1 million, I might go with the auction. Or if the amount is very 1,000 or 2,000, I will simply go ahead with the RFP. So what is RFP and what is auction? We'll come to that. So that is done via sourcing project. You will be creating a sourcing project and you're going to select whether you're going to collect event. So what is that event? RFI, RFP, auction. So what is RFI? Request for information. So at initial stage, I do not know whether my supplier can supply that material or not. It's a new item. In that scenario, I use an RFI to find out information from the supplier whether he can able to supply that item. Once he says okay, then I will only take the supplier whoever saying okay, and I will send RFP to them asking for a pricing information. Suppose I already know this item, I have purchased in the past, then I don't need to send an RFI. I will directly send an RFP and get the prices. That activity will be done during sourcing project, RFP being sent to the supplier. Now, supplier will start sending the prices. Here, what is that activity we are doing? We are in Ariba, we are creating an event called RFP. We will enter certain detail. What is that? How long the team? 1 second. What is the duration of my event? So I want my suppliers to start responding from today until 7 days. Within 7 days, they have to respond. If they do not respond, event will get ended and he will not able to do that. During this open period, that means how much 7 days, the supplier has to provide me the response. Let's assume that we have floated a quotation, 7 days is over, or within 5 days, all the participants. Here in Ariba, the supplier is also called as a participants in that project. They have provided the response. I do have an option to stop that project. I'll go there and click that event and click on stop. Once event is stopped, then the supplier will not able to provide any responses. I will measure the supplier and I will decide either based on pricing, based on availability, based on experience, based on quality standard. It could be the buyer's decision whom he want to give the business. Let's say out of these 5 people, he has selected one supplier and he has sent a confirmation saying that, hey, I agree with your prices. Please wait for official document. What is that official document? Purchase order or a contract. So with this step, the sourcing activity has been completed. You have sent a quotation, you got the prices, and you have finalized the vendor. Now the next step, contract request. Since I already have a sourcing, I can directly create the contract workspace and do the negotiation with the supplier and get my contract signed. However, Ariba is so flexible, I can take these 3 modules or independently also I can take. Let's take an example where that client is not having sourcing module. He has not taken. He is only using contract module and SLP. This is possible in Ariba. You can choose whichever the module you wanted. In that scenario, sending a request to create a contract with a supplier is called contract request. Very similar to sourcing request, sending internal team members sending to the sourcing team to create or to find out a price. Similarly, contract request is used to execute a contract with the supplier for so-and-so material and so-and-so price. Suppose if I have an integration, both sourcing and contract, then after completing my sourcing activity, I can go to my sourcing document, click on create contract workspace, whatever the line item details, vendor master, vendor number, all will be copied over to the contract workspace headers, and I will just fill in some tasks to complete the contract workspace. What is that we are going to do in contract workspace? I will having a option to store the documents related to the contract, and the documents can be requested or shared internal team members for their review or for their approvals. Also, I can send this contract to the supplier to get the signature done from him, agreeing whatever the terms. That activity will be done by contract. Once the contract is activated or published, then I can use this contract to create a purchase order or directly create an invoice against it. That is under contract workspace management. Now, the last topic, suppliers. So far, what we have discussed about the vendors, these vendors needs to be maintained. SAP's Ariba solution is replacement of SRM solution. Ariba supplier management is replacing SAP's earlier SRM solution. In supplier management, we do have following processes. Supplier request, this is the process where you create a supplier. Registration, as I mentioned, the profile information will be done via registration. Qualification, commodity specific validations is done in qualification. Once I have qualified the supplier, I can choose who is my preferred vendor. So preferred vendors will get an advantage of showing or displaying on top of other vendors. Then performance of a supplier. What is that? I have agreed with him on certain standards, on certain prices, and I want to evaluate whether the supplier is delivering that material or not on the same agreed basis and agreed packing, agreed delivery times, agreed payment terms. That I'm going to evaluate via performance, and I will find out their ratings, and I will take a corrective action if it is required. Whatever just now I have discussed is talking about upstream solution or a strategic sourcing solution. In this, we are keeping ready of the system. What is that we are keeping ready? Now I know what is the material, what is the price, from where I'm going to purchase, what is the contract workspace number, how that supplier has a qualification and preferred. Now the next activity is called downstream. So in downstream, we directly create documents, procurement document. What is the procurement document? Purchase requisition, purchase order, invoice, goods receipt. These are all procurement activities. Since my system is ready, a end user or a buyer, he will log into Ariba system, then he will search for an item. So when he's searching for an item, that's called catalog item. So catalog means Ariba is already having a details about that particular item, from where we can purchase, what is the price, what is the units of measurement, how much quantity available, all that information will be visible to the buyer. Once he is okay with that item, he will add to the cart and clicks on submit. At this stage, his activity is completed. Now that document is called purchase requisition. Once purchase requisition is saved, it will go for an approval process. So it is almost like your PO approvals. In Ariba, all the approvals will be done only on purchase requisition. So the purchase requisition will go for approvals based on whatever we have configured in the system. The Ariba can pick up dynamic approval process. That means, suppose I have a validation in the purchase requisition approval flow. If item having a value more than 1 lakh, it has to be approved by finance manager. Then the system will verify the PR amount. If it is more than 1 lakh, it will add finance manager into the approval process. If not, finance manager approval is not required. He will not be added into the purchase requisition. This is we are going to configure. Okay. Now, once the requisition has been approved, now the automation will start. What is that? Your purchase requisition will be converted into purchase order and sent to the supplier over SAP Business Network. It is earlier called SAP Ariba Network. Now SAP has renamed as SAP Business Network. Via SAP Business Network, the supplier is going to view your purchase order. Here, where we are sending the quotation, the same system, Ariba Network, will be used to find out the supplier receiving the purchase order. Once he verifies the purchase order, if he can able to deliver that item, he can provide an acknowledgement that's called order confirmation and also provide shipping information. These details can be sent by the supplier against your purchase order via Ariba Network or SAP Business Network. Now, since I was able to see the status of my PR, I do not need to call the supplier and ask, hey, did you receive my purchase order? Because we already got an acknowledgement also. So this time is saving. So normally in any procurement, if you're working in any of the manufacturing sector or any of the industries, once you create a PR or PO, if you're sending via email, you need to wait for the suppliers to respond to it. He might be having a lot of mails. He might be missing it. So after 1 or 2 days, you will call him. He will ask him, hey, did you receive my purchase order? Then he says, yes, I received it. Then I will ask him, hey, when you can deliver this item. These items or these activities which we just discussed is skipped because of the automation. This will save a lot of time for procurement team or sourcing team to focus their activities more on a strategically sourcing it. What is strategic sourcing? The sourcing team will try to find out how many purchases we are making. Why can't we agree with the supplier and get a better pricing, negotiate the pricing? These activities will be done as part of your upstream. All right. Now, supplier has received the PO and he is acknowledged. Now he will send the item to the factory or the item to the location. Now the receiver, basically the receiver would be the same person who has created the purchase requisition. He is going to the system, accept the material. With this, the activity from the buyer side is completed. Now, supplier, he will go to the Ariba network. He will open the PO, clicks create invoice. At the time of clicking that, the Ariba will convert the PO into invoice. That's called PO flip. Generally, we use earlier the terminology we use PO flip. What will happen? All the PO content, like from where it has to be shipped to where it has to ship, what is the item shipped, what is the price, all will be copied over into invoice. You simply enter invoice number and invoice date and submit. The supplier will create an invoice over business network. He will click on submit. Then that invoice will be received against your purchase order. When you go to the system, when you go to the purchase order, there will be a tab appearing as invoices. You will find supplier submitted invoice in Ariba and you are going to reconcile that invoice. What is that invoice reconciliation we do? We will be validating whether the invoice is matching with our purchase order. Let's say whether the currency is matching or not. If I have a PO currency of INR, when the supplier sends me invoice by mistakenly as a US dollar, if I don't have that validation, when payment is done, I'll be paying something 83 times above of what is that we are going to pay that. So Ariba has a predefined validation. We just need to activate them. Once we activate it, then system will check out if there is a mismatch between the currency, quantity, receipt, price, unit price. There are so many validations out there. So it will verify if it found there was a mismatch, it will trigger one approval flow to an invoice agent, or we can define whoever wants to take the responsibility, we will assign that. So that person will check with the PR owner or the purchase order owner as well as the supplier based on the need and basis. He can discuss with them, hey, this is how we have received, what we need to do it. Whether he can reject the invoice or he will ask the buyer to change the PO to correct this instance. Or we do have an option to auto reject automatically. If there is a mismatch, simply reject it. A message will go to the supplier saying that there is a currency mismatch. Please contact your purchase order or your buyer and get the corrected invoice and resubmit the invoice. That way also we can do that. All right. Now I have reconciled invoice. It is matching as per my PO. Then that is ready for settlement. Settlement means the finance team will make a payment to the supplier, and supplier status of that payment will be reflected over business network against your invoice also. You can see the status of the payment. Entire cycle is called source to pay. Start from sourcing until payment to the vendor. This is a cycle which Ariba supports. Okay. Now, let's go to other things. So what is that you are going to learn in Ariba? This is what you are going to learn, whatever I have just discussed. You are going to see how to create a sourcing request, contract request, supplier statuses, performance, creation of a PR, converting the PO, sending to the supplier, creating invoice as a supplier or as a buyer. So if the supplier is saying that I will send you a hard copy here, please process the payment. Then you can log in into the buying system, create an invoice against purchase order and process also. That is also possible. So many possibilities are there in Ariba. Okay. As part of the learning, you will know how to creation of all these documents. As a consultant, you are going to look at what in the back end you are going to do that. In Upstream, whatever we do is based on a template. So you will be learning template creations, template modification, template management. You will be learning workflows for purchase requisition, auto creation of receipts. In the system Ariba, you can able to perform goods receipt on particular transaction. Invoice validations. You are also going to learn as a master data management. How do we manage users and permission? How do we enable certain parameters related for system functionality? Troubleshooting the issues. Whenever there is a troubleshooting, how we are going to troubleshoot. We also see this application is built by SAP. We don't care. Oh, sorry, we don't have any permission or access to debug the coding and other thing. This has to be done by SAP people only. Even from sourcing request to contract, the integration is called native integration. When I send a quotation, it will be received by the supplier. I do not know how it was configured in the backend. That all will be done by SAP. So how do we get work with them? So that is also you're going to learn best practices to the client. So client is giving you a business process. He's saying, I want to digitally transform into Ariba. Can you support me? Then you can able to demo application to the client. All this can be possible. You will be learning it. Product releases. Ariba keeps on sending features of a product that you will be learning. Additionally, you will also learn guided buying, guided sourcing, certification help, interview questions. So the timings of the batch would be 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. every day, and we'll be having sessions from Monday to Friday. This is about the course curriculum, or at high level on Ariba overview, the difference between upstream and downstream, what are all the documents you create, what are all the personas in Ariba. I will take a pause. If you have any questions on whatever we just discussed, you can feel free to ask. All right. If you don't have any question, let's quickly go to SAP Ariba. So this is your Ariba stream. Unlike SAP MM, you will not be having a structured way or T codes where you need to enter the T code to perform the transaction. Via navigation, a simple navigation, you should be able to manage your Ariba application. So you will be provided with an URL. With that URL, you can log in into Ariba. With your username and password also will be created and sent to you. You can use corporate authentication. If it is enabled, your login details will be same as your corporate application. Using that also, you can log in into Ariba. You will be provided two URLs, one for test site and second for production site. Let's explore. This is called home page or a landing page or a dashboard. You can call it any name. This is also called Ariba spend management. That means you are managing your spend via commodities and etc. Strategic sourcing as well. Let's look at the tabs available here. These are all called tabs. Application specific tasks are combination of all the tasks. Home tab will have the content related to all the modules, and application specific content will be available when you are clicking on relevant tab. For example, sourcing. Sourcing related document is available under sourcing. These tabs will appear based on your permissions or your roles. So whatever the groups you are having, Accordingly, it will provide. For example, a team of sourcing people, they will only see home button and sourcing module only. Rest of the module will not be shown to them. A team of a contract, they will not see the sourcing. They will only see contract tab. By clicking more, you can able to access other tabs as well. Since being an Ariba administrator, we have access to all the modules. Generally, an end user will not be having access to these many sections or tabs. This is called document search. You can, inside Ariba, if you want to search any document, first you find out what is the document you are searching for. And in the filter, you can enter their name or the number. You don't need to remember document ID or purchase order number. You can enter the text of that purchase order header and click on search. You should be able to filter down. Same with any of the project you are creating it. So that is the reason you don't need to remember the numbers. On right hand side, you will be seeing menu options. That is for creation. If you want to create any document, you will be clicking on create, and these are all you can create in Ariba Upstream. When you go to the downstream, then you might be seeing different options like creation of a requisition, creation of an invoice. All those things will be done in downstream. In upstream, you're going to see creation of a sourcing project like supplier request, supplier performance, contract workspace, contract request, etc. Now, the next menu is manage. So via manage menu, you will able to access administration, which refers to configuration related to upstream, manage core administration, configuration related to downstream, administration related to supplier management. So any area related to supplier management, you are accessing from here. Anything related to purchase orders, invoices, approval processes, you're going to go to core administration. Administration refers to, like in upstream, we want to configure some master data related to region codes or commodity codes. You click on manage administration and you will access that. Recent, whatever the documents you have accessed or you have created, from recent tab, it will be showing you. You can quickly open the document. On the left hand side, you do have a common action tile. This is called tiles 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. These tiles will help you to navigate. So common actions, you have a create menu and manage menu. You can use this one. Accessing from here, both are same only. Similarly, recently view. This is same as what is that you are seeing here. If you don't want this particular tile, you can delete that item. So if you're deleting on a dashboard, this is only for you only. It is not going to affect the other team members. So this navigation, whatever you play around, will be only specific to you only. You can customize your dashboard. That is what Ariba says, right? Now this is called action tiles. You will be having action tiles. You can replace this action tile by clicking on here. Let's say edit tile setting or manage all tiles. Then system will give me, these are all the tiles available. On the left hand side, this is available, but you have not added. Let's say I want to include my invoices into this. Maximum 5 tiles only you can able to have per dashboard. Click on done. So this is a interview question as well as certification question. How many tiles you can have per dashboard? You can have notifications sent for the news. You can also have what is called URLs and market prices. You can include RSS feed notes in the notes. So you can able to show that in your dashboard. My documents is where what are the documents you created in Ariba. Event status, this is specifically for the sourcing. So these are all the events, RFI, RFP, auction. These are all the steps of each document. So it will be in a creation time, you will be seeing the status as draft preview. So after I have published this to the market, so let's say I have published my event RFI, and I say that the responses has to come today between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. until the time I have published until 8 o'clock. That is called preview period. How many documents are in preview period? This is flow. After draft, it will go to the preview, then open. From 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, that is open period. During that period, the supplier can provide their responses. During preview period, supplier can view the information, but he will not able to participate into your quotations. Once event is ended, at the end of 5 o'clock, the event will move to pending selection. If the supplier provided response or not, the event will be closed and it will go for pending selection, where it is asking the buyer or the sourcing agent to decide whom you want to give the business. Once you have selected the vendor and provided a business, that's called awarding, and awarding is completed, then you are going to see the status as completed. Completed is the end of your project state. Once I have completed, that is end. There is no more action is required on that particular document. So if you want to open any of these documents, just click on that number. So I want to know how many RFPs are open. I'll click the 23 number. Then all the 23 projects will be shown to me. Suppose you do not have an access, since I have what is called admin actions, I was able to see the 24 document. You can put some restrictions on visibility of these documents, then they will only see where they have access to those documents. Now here, these are all the 24 documents. So if I want to look at a document, I'll simply click on the project name, click on open. Then it will take me to the project. We are going to discuss more about it. Overview, this is the documents, these are all the tasks, this is the team members related to this project, message about the communication between the team members, event messages, the messages between the supplier and the buyer, history, whatever happened on the particular document for audit purpose, you can able to look at the history. So if you want to go back, either you click on the home page by going to the company logo or click the back button, it will take you to the back page. Suppose, let's say I'm going to remove these filters. Currently, the remove filter is applied for last 1 year data. I have reset the data. Then all the filters have been removed. I can also choose header values, which I want to search for. If I want to change any of this header value, I will simply select the field, then search for additional item. Maybe I will be looking for owner, or I will just click on, where is this project? Fields. Owner. So project owner, I can select. So Oranet 12. I want to know all the events created by Oranet 12. I'll click on search. Oranet 12 is the user ID. The name of the ID is Pradeep Kumar. So Pradeep Kumar is having more than 100 documents. So the system is showing only 100 documents in the screen. But if I want to show all the detail, I do have it. Go to options, click on ignore max results limit, then search but again. Then all the documents will be shown to you. All the documents with the name Pradeep, it will be shown. If you even remove this Pradeep filter, you might get more documents as well. If you want to add additional columns, you can use the table options menu. Show or hide columns, you can add additional column which is available. So these columns are available, you can select it. And then if you want to export this data, use the same option, go to the export all rows. We'll give 1294 records in your Excel file. Export current page. So in current page, page 1 up to this many record, up to 9199. Up to this records, if I want to export, then using this option, current page, only the items displayed on your screen will be exported. This is how you search for a document. I'll go back to the home page by clicking on the logo. I'll click home using self-service menus. So this is your user initials. You will be having some options to manage your profile, changing your password, changing your default language. So whenever I'm creating any document, it's going to take the currency from here. It is picking Indian rupee. If I want to change the US dollar, all my documents will be created via US dollars, and language is maintained as United States English. I'll click on OK. 1 second, guys. All right. So when we search for the doc, okay, here user initials, you can able to do that. Do you also have a option when you're going on a leave, you can delegate your authority? How can we do that? Okay, I'll come to that. And the next button is called site, switching between parent to the child system or upstream to downstream. Now, what you are looking in the screen URL, if you notice, it is showing sourcing. Sourcing means you are in upstream solution. If you click this button and click on child realm, then system will show you buyer. Buyer means you are in a downstream where you are going to create. Now your options for create also will change. Here I will be getting a requisition, you're getting invoice, etc. Similarly, manage also will be seeing purchase orders, managing receivings. All those things will be available when you are in child. And also in self-service menu, you do have an option to delegate your authority. Where is that? Delegate authority. So what is delegate authority? Suppose you are going on a leave, you can delegate your authority to somebody else by selecting that particular delegate. Enter from which date to which date you want to provide. It's something similar to your out of office. Once you mention this detail and assign to some different user, when this user logs into the system, Ariba displays you have permission to log in as this guy, Pradeep Kumar. So which you log in, you want to use it. If you click on Pradeep Kumar, then he will perform the activities on behalf of Pradeep Kumar. Once it is done, he will click that banner stop. It will take back to his original login. So the delegation of authority is possible. So once you prepare this delegation of authority, then system will tell who has to approve a delegation of authority. So this was not configured. Once you know who has to approve, once I click submit, after this person approves, the delegation will become active. Each request is identified as user profile request that is numbered with UP 737. The next document somebody else is creating, it will have UP 737, 738. User profile 738. I'm going to delete this. And let me go back to the upstream by going to the site menu and I click this one. This help document can be found from help. If you are stuck in something and if you want to know the help document from SAP, click this button, click on help center. It will take you to the help portal to additional information. You can print this page and the search button is same like clicking from here also. Let's say I want to search one requisition, title Sanjay, or I'll just put it as demo. Then click on search. All the requisitions with the name demo will be shown to me. So in last filter, last 3 weeks time, that is by default, sorry, 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks time data it is showing. If I want to change, I don't put the filter, click on search. Whatever the documents created with the demo will be displayed. Home page. I do have an option to add more demo, more menus by going to the tab here. I can click on add a new tab. I will say demo. The system is telling me, do you want to have all the content in this menu or only limited content? So I will be requiring all the content. Click on OK. Then I can add my own content here. So what I want to have action tiles. I don't want that recently viewed and other things. I'll just simply want these details and what else I want? My documents. This is only I wanted. So there's my menu has been added or the tab menu has added and the content is added. If I want to modify content, click that bag again, click on add content or edit properties. If you want to change this one, delete the tab or you can revert back to default setting. Remember, whatever you do from your screen is only for you to manage. However, as a consultant, I go to manage, I will go to core administration and I'm going to see dashboard manager. If I configure the dashboards from here, this is applicable for all the people. Whoever belongs to this particular group, they are going to get this dashboard is going to be pick it up from here. When I publish this particular dashboard, whoever part of the sourcing agent, they will be seeing the dashboard which I have configured under this particular dashboard template. I will take a stop now. I'll open for the Q&A. Then we will continue in tomorrow's session. You can feel free to ask any question, whether related to Ariba or related to SAP or related to your suitability of Ariba application or anything. Feel free to ask. If no questions, we can wind up our session. We'll connect tomorrow at, not tomorrow, Monday at 8 a.m. Sorry, 7 a.m. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So the people who are freshers, who are looking for an Ariba, they can take it as long as you are able to understand a procurement. So generally, we do procurement activities in our real time. When we want to purchase, let's say, a smartphone. So how do we decide? We will search for the product on multiple e-commerce site like Amazon, Flipkart, or their company's own profile. Own page, and we'll compare the prices and availability, whether they are delivering in our location or not, and then we choose and make the payment. So, what is our responsibilities? Making a payment. What is supplier responsibility? To make this item available on their windows or their applications and accessing it. The same buyer, you are going to create the documents on behalf of buyer side, and the suppliers has to provide their responses. As an Ariba consultant, you are going to learn from here whatever the basic process. If you are new and you do not know, maybe you will not know why we will be creating a contract. Why do we create a purchase order? You can feel free to ask me. I'm happy to explain that. There is no hesitation. Trust me, you are going to get a hands-on experience in Ariba. My classes are more focused on practical base, not on a theoretical base. So I'll be explaining a little bit, and I'm going to show more on the screen so that you will remember either for the time of interview or when you are on a job. Hopefully, you will be accessing the next via same link, or you can connect with support team, and they will be helping you. So you might already have the support number. You can reach out to them if you have any queries regarding the session and links to that. So my role is only to provide the training. The rest of the activities will be handled by the support team. You can get in touch with them. So you will be provided with the same access what I am using. So you can able to practice totally all 24/7 you can practice it. So next session, we'll take a little bit into the guided navigation. Then we'll move on to creation of a project, how to create a sourcing request sourcing project, etc. will be covered in next session. As mentioned in initial time, so you will be learning as an end user, as a fresher, how to use an Ariba application, and as a consultant, what needs to be bring at the bottom. All will be learned during my sessions.